I'm Patricia Barlow-Irick, and I train wild horses and I teach people how to train wild horses at Mustang Camp here in northern New Mexico. We've trained more than 600 Mustangs and burros for adoption. In 2021, I took on a student and found her a fresh Mustang with the intent of documenting our process. Maria is a statistician in Portland, Oregon. Her special needs rescue dog, June, introduced her to positive reinforcement based training, and she decided to learn to use these same methods with horses. The Jicarilla Ranger District had 3 recently captured horses in the Forest Service holding facility. The gray mare, they said, sweats if you even look at her. The others were calmer. I want the wild one, I said. We brought her home to meet the other animals at Mustang Camp. If you're just joining this story, we recommend starting at the beginning of our Belle Parker playlist. Click here to go there now. So this is task 25, and we're going to start with H, the hind hooves. So we started with session 115.
Yep.
So tell me about session 115.
So session 115 was a little bit of a pre-25, and we took the guider stick and did a countdown 10 rubbing on legs. You know, we hadn't touched her legs in a while, and it just felt like a good idea to see where that was at.
How strongly would you have predicted that she was going to kick?
Very strongly.
At that point. Me too. Me too. I just was like, let's kind of get this over by putting the stick down there, and let's see what's going to happen, because we're going into danger zone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
So did in 115, did she kick at all?
She didn't kick. I did note that the back was a little less good than the front, but I don't think we actually got kicked at there.
Uh-huh.
So
good. Yeah. So she had done the stick down the legs in what, 11?
Yeah.
But this is,
yeah, again, we just hadn't touched those legs in quite some time.
And I don't really remember what she did in 11. But okay, so then session 118, what happened?
So 118 was a little bit of a hybrid again on the front and back. We did countdown petting on the legs. Special note was that we used the fence. So it was the horse, the fence, then me. I also had
we had protected contact.
Yeah, protected contact. I also had a helmet on at that point. She was at liberty, and she was eating a bucket of hay in front of her face. And I had been doing, the setup was like that because I had been doing some just general kind of top body petting behind the fence while she was eating a bucket. So I think that's why we chose particularly that setup of her just enjoying hay while she was being countdown petted on the legs.
What motivated us to, or what motivated you to do the countdown petting on her top line?
Oh, well, she's very, very pregnant, and you recommended that we start touching her more in case she needs help when that baby comes out. So there was a lot of back end petting that I was doing daily with her in that scenario, just trying to get her used to us touching her.
Yeah. So she did pretty well in that training, didn't she?
She did. At the end of 118, we actually left protected contact and went into second trainer feeding and rubbed down all 3 legs 3 times each.
All 3 legs or all 4 legs?
All 4 legs 3 times each. She does have 4 legs.
Okay, so we got the countdown petting. I can do the check marks on that.
Mm-hmm.
Session 119.
Session 119 was focused on 25.2 and 25.3 hind and rolled onto toes. I started out just probably more for me than anyone else doing countdown petting on all legs 3 times each, ending in the back. This was where you put your hand just on the stifle and you wanted to bridge anytime there was forward movement or movement of that. and you had to bridge fast. And then
So are you saying I did it, or are you saying
I did it.
a person did it? Yeah. A person would do it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I did also.
Yeah. Well, it just sounds like you're saying I did it. And I'm
Oh.
like going, I don't remember doing that. I
Oh,
think
no,
you
no.
did it.
No, I did it. And then when the toe kind of rolls up, you just continue to feed. So in this setup, you were feeding like a maniac when her toe rolled up, and I was the one touching. She got kicky when I put the hand there, and you kept saying, you got to bridge quicker, you got to bridge quicker, before she goes into the kicky mode.
And it worked.
It did work. On the left side, she was kicky to the point where you actually recommended I started just to point towards the stifle instead of actually touching it. And I think, I want to check 120, but I think she was pretty kicky in this session on the left side when we ended. And I think in the next session is where that really came out. But
Yeah,
we did get her on her
was she actually kicky, or was she just kind of waving her foot back there?
Yeah, I don't think I mean kicky and you're trying to kick me.
Yeah.
It was more I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
And a high action kind of procedure of my leg might be the right answer.
Yeah. That's what it seemed like to me. It's like I didn't ever feel like she tried to kick you.
Yep.
She just didn't know what she was supposed to do with that leg.
Yeah. Agreed.
And so that's when you really want to get that bridge so early that they don't think it has anything to do with even lifting their foot. It has to do with taking the weight off their foot.
Yeah.
And when you were doing that, okay, there's the difference between using the stifle as the marker and watching the foot.
Yeah.
And watching that weight come off. The stifle, it always seems to me like that's pretty clear. It's pretty clear. However, I think it's not as early as the weight coming off.
Got it.
So I think a lot of times the stifle doesn't allow you to bridge early enough to prevent problems.
Yeah.
Because even though it seems like, well, they would have to do that first. No, they don't seem like they have to do that first. They do something about lifting the weight off of their foot before they do that. So if you can watch their foot, you're a little bit better off. But I think when a person's just first starting, it's actually easier to do the stifle, at least to begin with, because it's either pokey out or not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little less of guesswork.
Yeah, it's amazing how much that thing moves.
It moves so much. And that's another thing that happened to me once you said start bridging earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was actually a couple of times I bridged for more the other foot moving because I was so focused just on that stifle. And so when the other foot moved, I would see like the start of a movement of the stifle I was interested in, and I would bridge, and it would be the wrong foot. But I think you noted in that mistake is less bad than the mistake of bridging too late and ending up with a very pie, kicky kind of motion.
Yeah. Sometimes trainers say, well, no bridge is better than a bad bridge. Okay, that's kind of a saying that animal trainers have. No bridge is better than a bad bridge. But in that case, where you're trying to teach them to not kick, a bad bridge is better than no bridge.
Yeah.
Because at least it interrupts the kicking behavior really early. And that just stops it. When the horse realizes, oh, I don't need to kick, it just stops.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, that's quite amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
There's nothing that actually says it should be that way. That is how they are.
We're almost killed his bag on one foot.
Should I keep going on that goal?
I didn't have to get it straight down.
I need to get a little pet.
Okay, so what you want to do is to hold that foot without squeezing it anywhere, and then really start
Bouncing.
trying to get more of a bounce.
Yeah.
But let's do the other foot.
Do you feel
just
like
mildly.
Do you feel like it's from that where I was holding, like under?
Part of it is how you were holding. You were pretty far away. You didn't have any power in your arm.
Yeah.
You know,
But
because you're
that
holding.
grab, it was the right position if my body was better, or it's
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It would be a little bit better to be around the leg.
Inside.
Yeah, it would be a little bit better, but you don't really want to do that on a horse where you're just starting out because it latches you on too much.
Yeah.
You don't get any till you put that. Alright, are you ready? This is your regular hip movement. You ready?
Okay, so let's just check my check marks. On 119, she got as far as lift the hoof off the heel on the left and the right.
She did. She got a toe roll on both sides.
Okay, but she wasn't stationing on her toes at that point.
I think we did get a state like 2 toe rolls, like one on each side, but I don't think it was consistent.
It wasn't a consistent
Yeah,
station.
it was like we got one, yay!
Yeah.
We're petting, we're feeding. But
So we talked about that too at the point is you get so excited when they finally get it, but you got to not let them hang on to it that long because they don't, after about the third or maybe the fifth bite, they don't learn anything more. It doesn't help to keep doing it. It's better to stop, reset them, let them do it again. Reset them, let them do it again. That's much more effective than.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You could feed them 100 times after they did it while they were on their toe, and they would not remember how to get there the next time if you'd only done it that one time.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was this session or the next session, but another thing that happened is when she finally got the toe roll, I got so excited.
Yeah.
You started
bridging.
I started bridging and like really high energy, and you had to say, hey, take it down a notch, lady. You're gonna freak her out.
You're gonna get kicked.
And when you said that, I realized, I was just excited for her for getting it.
Yeah.
But my energy was like not what you want when you're standing behind a horse lifting up its back feet for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was another lesson.
Yeah,
learned in that.
It was a funny sequence because I was like, do I say something? She's gonna get hurt if she doesn't calm down. Okay, so now we're on 120.
Yep, 120.
What do we got going there?
Bridge at first movement, continuous feet as long as heels up. So this is where she really kind of got the heel up, and I actually started doing just a tiny bit of bounce on the foot, but it was definitely not a lot of bounce.
Good. She didn't have any trouble stationing on either foot. She was pretty balanced about that.
Yeah, I think it was in 119 where I said, or no, it wasn't even in 119, it was the 118 where she was a little less good on her left side,
but by this point,
we didn't notice the
really
difference.
see it. Okay. I'm keeping her kind of step train.
Yeah.
Instead of giving up. She says, I'll do the other foot.
You got this one. You're close. Can you put it? You're real fast.
Calm down. What about 121?
121, we were going for that bounce. So point to stifle, bridge when she gets on toe. You in this one, in order to get her onto her toe, you were actually using a little bit of forward, backward body language from the front where you were feeding. So I just thought that was an important.
It's interesting, and we've seen that also when we're doing feet on the box. Okay, is where you place yourself. Totally, the horse totally responds to it, and they will just kind of sync with you. And if you step back, they'll step forward. If you step forward, they'll step back. You know, and you can just play with them like that. And if you just get more and more subtle as you're going with your body language, suddenly it lands on its toe and it just stays there.
Yeah, and that's what she did.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
This was where I would rub down. So after she got onto the toe, I would rub down to the cannon bone and then get my hand in place and start bouncing the toe. You know, really what you're looking for in that bounce is for the animal to relax and kind of let you bounce their foot.
Yeah.
I think we got that in this one. This was another version of me getting too excited when she did it also. So, and yeah, that was also that one. This was where I started actually kind of reaching my hand down to the cannon bone, asking for footy, and helping her into that position a little bit, which she was very open to that kind of guidance with my hand. We did, and then once she had her foot up with the toe position, I did the rub, the bounce, and then I started doing countdown 5 duration holds. Then you recommended that I take my other hand and kind of very, very lightly touch the bottom of her hoof a little bit with my nail.
Did she respond to that?
Not at all. We actually ended up taking out the hoof pick and very, you know, I wasn't picking anything. I just very lightly cleaning with hoof pick. Oh no, this is the last one on 25H. So I actually did clean out her back feet with.
Yeah, I think you did one level of both feet where you just did a little bit, and then we just said, just do it.
Yeah, let's go. So,
you know, and so that was a great moment. You did, because as you told me later, it's like you weren't planning on doing that. You were planning on going home before you ever got to lifting up her hind hooves.
I was planning on her having the baby and me going home before I ever had to do that. And I think it is worth noting, in almost every single one of these hind sessions, I wore a helmet. You know, whether or not that.
Did you ever feel threatened, or did you ever feel like it?
I think it gave me confidence to be down there with my head down there, but she never did anything that was You know, the scariest thing I think she did was trying to get flies off of her stomach.
Yeah.
And that actually is another good point. We fly sprayed her before every one of these sessions to try to cut down that type of, I'm kicking my foot up to get the flies off my belly.
Right.
So I thought that was also a good tip and also great practice for her for fly spray.
Yeah. She should be really good at
She's good at fly spray.
fly spray. One of the best.
You ready? Target your knee. Deep. You ready? Target your knee. Oops. Deep. You ready? Target knee. You target your knee. Deep. You ready?
Now try not to catch it going backwards anymore. Try to put it far enough forward you don't catch it backwards.
Target knee. Deep. What should I have done there?
That was good.
Okay.
She didn't really back up.
You ready? Oops. Oops. I gotta get down there. You ready?
You're not being too pokey, are you?
Am I being pokey?
Yeah, don't be pokey.
Ready? You can target your knee. Deep. I'm gonna put
That was you bridged her for backing up. Don't do that.
Come back. Come up here. Come back up here. Come on, sweetie. Come on, sweetie. You gotta come up here.
No, put your hand well in front of it,
Deep.
so that she can't actually bend it and go backwards.
Sorry, what did you say? Put my hand where?
Far enough forward that she can't
Got it.
catch it while she's going backwards.
Can you target your knee? Oops. Come this way. Come this way. Come on. Come back up.
Now if she
Can you target your knee? Deep. Is that good?
yeah, she wasn't
Okay, the
stepping
front hooves
backwards.
are always easier. So looks like we only had 3 sessions there.
Yep.
Okay, so let's start with 125. What happened?
So 125, we did countdown 5 petting to hooves, which was actually something we'd already done, but we redid it. And then the next part was to target knee. Started out putting my fingers right onto her knee and bridging and feeding her and doing that a few times and then just barely taking them off of her knee and I'm waiting for her to target the knee.
When it happens, double feed it, so we can be careful because
Yeah, that was a pass.
you got to block that. And
You ready? Target knee. Deep.
A couple of notes I made were don't bridge or feed for pawing. It's pretty natural that the horse wants to try a pawing behavior in this
Yeah,
procedure.
and Belle kind of likes to paw.
Yep. Another thing was that we really want the animal to pick their foot up back, not bring their knee forward, which is the pawing slash, just that's not where you're going to clean out a horse's hoof. So really trying not to reinforce for that forward motion.
Eat, eat, eat. One bite. Two bites. Three bites. Good girl. Can you target your knee? Eat. That was just one bite. Can you step back? Come back up here.
so that's low enough latency. You should try the other side now.
Are you ready, ready, ready? Can you target your knee?
No, you're gonna.
What?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just
You ready?
don't forget to say target knee.
Towards the middle end of this session, I started reaching my hand down and touching asking, still saying target knee, because I think I started saying target foot, or not, or I started saying
Say
footy,
and
she started doing her back feet.
Yeah.
And so at this point we left it as target knee, and I had my hand slid down, and she would lift up her cannon bone and kind of touch my hand with a really, really slight hold. And I don't even think hold's the right word, more of like me bracing it for a second and then letting it down. Yeah, so that's what happened in that. And
So was she lifting her front feet with no latency? This is before being held, but just lifting it.
I think she was. I think a little problem we had was sometimes she was doing that forward motion, even if it was with no latency.
Yeah.
And so in this session we got low latency, but occasionally we got that kind of not what we were looking for behavior
Right.
of the foot going forward or the pawing.
Right. I've had horses that were so bad at pawing that I actually had to devise a way to punish them for pawing.
Yeah.
You know, that's really unfortunate. But I think typically you can, if you're just really, really careful and you bridge, you kind of have to psychically know whether or not the horse is going to paw or not.
Yeah.
So you've got, and the only way that you can really mark it is how the forearm moves. If the forearm goes up or goes forward, it's gonna paw. If the forearm stays straight, it's not gonna paw. And so you've got to kind of really tune into that, and that can be quite hard because you just see some movement and you're gonna try to bridge it, but you've got to discriminate.
Right one. And I do think that moving from out of the front of the knee pretty quickly to behind,
Yeah.
either asking for kind of the fetlock or the cannon bone as the target knee helped move her away from that forward pawing motion.
Yeah, that really helps. Is if you can be kind of brave enough to stand there with your hand under the horse, to where you want its leg to come to, and be willing to let the horse get a little frustrated about pawing not work, because those two things are, you know, when the horse gets frustrated, then you're in more danger always. So you don't really want your horse to get frustrated, but they have to learn that pawing doesn't work. You did a good job on that.
There's a lot of paw. Oopsies. Let's go for less pawing, okay? You ready? Can you target me? That was good. It was a little aggressive, but still good. You ready? Can you target your knee? Ooh, I like that one. Right. Right, you like? I'll give your toes a little bite. Ready? Can you target your knee? A little paw.
Okay, come and get it this side, and then I'll show you how to fix that problem.
You ready? We're on this side. Okay? You ready? Can you target your knee? I like that. Move it. Move it. You ready? Can you target your knee? Okay, but we're doing this side. Are you ready? Are you ready? Can you target your knee? Good girl. That's pretty good. Okay. Move it.
you target your knee? Eat, eat, eat. Ooh, that's pretty good. One more. 3 bites. 3 bites. You ready? Can you target your knee? Eat, eat. Ooh, little pie. Just 1 bite for pause, okay? The other one now. You ready? Whoop. Ready? Can you give me your foot? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Eat. Good girl.
Try to hold it by
Yeah,
the
I
bone, not the
didn't do it.
foot.
You
It's not
ready?
comfortable.
Oops, sorry, babe. Target your knee. Oh, oh. You ready? Can you target your knee? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Eat, 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 eat. Good girl. Good girl. Are you ready? 5.
First bite. I'm going to try to give her as many bites as I can, but I'm going to tell you how many bites I've given her.
Okay. You ready? But I shouldn't try to hold more than 5, right?
I would just try to hold it steady,
Okay.
but make it really comfortable.
Yeah, I got you. Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Eat, eat, eat. Girl. You ready, sweetie? You in there? Oops, wrong one. Oops, oops. You ready? Eat, 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 eat. Come here, you ready? You ready? Eat, eat. Oops.
Try to hold on the fetlock, or on the big bone.
Okay. Higher up.
Yeah.
You ready? Eat, 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 eat. Tell me you're ready. Eat, 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 eat. Should I put it on more of a countdown and put it down softly?
No.
Okay.
She's getting reinforced for
ready?
keeping it up.
You ready? Oops. Can you target your knee? Oops. Sorry, babe. You ready? Eat, 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 eat. Oops.
Just try supporting the fetlock joint itself more, less on the pasture.
Ready? Oops. Are you ready? Can you target that? Are you ready? Oops. Can you target that? Eat, 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 eat. Is that where my hand should be?
Really good.
Are you ready? Come back here. Come back here. Can you target your knee? Eat, 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 eat. Oops.
Okay, 127.
Lift front feet, and this was kind of a funny one because it came out and Belle Parker just kind of lifted her foot really nicely at the first request. I stuck my hand, kind of on the inside of the cannon bone and said, I don't know if I said target knee or footy or what I said, but she kind of just did it.
Yeah.
And
It was one of those overnight things
Yep.
where they think about it overnight and they kind of practice a few times, and then you come the next day and somehow they figured it out.
I think I kept talking about it all day long, just like, I can't believe that you just picked it up so nicely. Because our last session wasn't bad, but it was very, very inconsistent between that front motion and the nice back pickup.
Right.
And this one, it was just, I walked up and it was
just right.
Yeah, and it was a gentle pickup and a gentle put down. It was really cool. And we actually ended up doing just a light touch with the hoof pick in this session because she did so well. I also moved my hand in this one to more supporting the joint instead of holding onto the cannon bone. So more getting ready to actually clean the foot and have the support necessary. And I think you had to show me on a different animal the right holding.
I think we did that on the
that was
hinds.
for rear.
Yeah, we did that on the hinds. So I've got some pictures of that on Frankie.
Cool. And then on 128, we picked him up and cleaned him out. And the only notes I really have on this section are notes for me, which is support the cannon, the joint, the foot. Make sure the position you're holding the animal in is comfortable, not jacking the leg up too high. Yeah, and she did awesome.
So I'd like to kind of have a follow on that, because since then, in your session 129 and 4 other sessions beyond that, is we've actually trimmed her hooves. And what I noticed about her is when we first started, because it was a new person, she was more likely to paw right at the beginning. And we also started putting a bucket under her mouth to try to catch some of the hay falling so it doesn't land in the sand. She liked to paw the bucket, so.
At one point, there were little green bits in her foot that you couldn't figure out what
I was
they were.
like, why is her foot kind of green on this one side? And then I realized, oh, it's because she's been pawing a green bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the thing about trimming her fronts. I haven't trimmed her hind feet. I don't know if I will or not at this point. But she did phenomenally well. I was really worried that she would try to snatch her feet from me, and that's quite difficult with hooves as hard as hers. When you start putting those nippers on the edges and you squeezing them really hard, they get stuck in there.
Yeah.
And then if they try to snatch their foot away, it hits them with the end of the nippers.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's not a good scenario. So every time your nippers are stuck in the hoof, even if it's just, a fraction of a second, it's quite worrisome, because things can really fall apart right there. And then they become afraid of the tool, and they, because the tool poked them in the belly, and then, and the tool flew somewhere, and it's really not good for your tools also to do that. But she did great. And then also on that, I think on the 129 session, we practiced with a little file.
Yep.
Yeah, so you had the little file, and you actually introduced her to the feeling of a rasp.
Yeah, we had just a tiny little
woodshop file.
Yeah, just a little tiny rasp, and just did a little bit of scraping. I have it written down about a 1/2 inch thick and about 12 inches long, so something really easy to hold on to. And it didn't do much of anything on those hard feet, but she was really cool about it.
Yeah, I thought it was really a good way to do it, because it wasn't big like a big rasp, so it wasn't as scary, it wasn't as much stimulus, and it was you doing it rather than the new farrier person, me, doing it. So I was pretty proud of her, and her hooves have come out pretty good. They still need some more rasping. I'm not done with that, but I just don't want to do too much at a time to kind of set her up for failure. I'd rather just keep them a little bit shorter sessions and make sure that she's successful.
Yeah.
So I think at this point, if she has her baby now, I won't be ashamed for somebody to see her feet. She looks pretty good.
She's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
looked at my foot.
Um,
Do I get food for that?
should I just keep going? Or do
Yeah.
you want to look?
I want to. Well, let's see if she does better now.
You ready? Oops, oops, oops. Okay, I'll get ready first. Ready? Let's try again. Beep, beep. Try again. You ready? Come here, sweet. You give me that foot. Good. Okay, let's move her a tiny bit. Is that it? Did she get wrong?
Louise, back her up.
Okay, there we go. You ready? Beep. You give it to me again. Ready? That's the wrong one. I'll be nice on this one, I promise. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. I'm not digging this lot. You think I should?
No, we should take a picture.